Hey guys, I see one person is watching now. Let me just retweet this with a comment. Live now. Whoever is there watching, if you can let me know if you can hear me okay. Yes, no, maybe so. All right. Hey, Bad Scientist. Thanks for joining me. All right. So, I just want to go over, I started doing something new. I'm now on Ticker Talker. I do have a channel that I go live every morning at 8:15 until about 8:55 on Ticker Talker, which you can check out for free for the first week. And I also do my watch list there as well. So you can just search me, Jane Galena, and you can just go like this, and it should go ahead and pull me up right there. And you can check out all the stuff that I have. Right now I just have the morning watch list done live and my newsletter. I'm going to set up my video courses as well, and should be doing a Ticker Talker live TV once a week as well, which is pretty awesome. And I want to talk about coronavirus because I posted this and I pinned it on my Twitter, all about alliums and onions and garlic and how they can really help you combat viruses naturally. So definitely check out that article. It's awesome. Retweeted 23 times. NIH, National Institute of Health, also did a study about how you can use onions and garlic basically as two superfoods to really help you combat cancer, heart disease, viruses, a whole lot of things. So if you have the ability to eat it in your diet, definitely go ahead and put it in your diet, right? And then we'll go ahead and get into the watch list. Let me just shrink this a little bit. I want to, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and shrink it if I can. And we'll go ahead and do the watch list for the week. We're going to go ahead and look at the futures as well. Usually the futures are not open, which is pretty cool that we get to look at it now. I do not pay for futures data, so we will look at it on investing.com, which you can access for free, and also on TradingView as well, because I like to see with my little tools that I have on TradingView. So let's move this over. Interesting. I don't know if you guys follow astrology as well. Hey, Raylon. Okay. So right here, so first of all, I always got to give my disclaimer that 20 years ago now, I had my Series 7, and it is no longer current. So please remember that in trading, you know, when you trade, there are varying degrees of risks in trading all sorts of securities instruments. So please do your due diligence, and everything that you see here is my own personal idea. And we'll get into all of this, the list over here, shortly. So let's go ahead and pull up the ES minis futures, right? So this is delayed data. I do have it on the 45-minute chart. It's just going to take a little bit of time because it takes a little bit of time, right? With everything running and streaming. All right. So we can see this is a 45-minute chart. This is going to be back when we had our low on February 28th, right? And now we are well below that. When we go ahead and we pull it up side by side, let's take it off the max here, and let's put the SPY here. And I'll go ahead and I'll just make it bigger for now so we can see everything. So when we put them side by side, right? Get rid of some of the stuff to make it easier to see. I have a lot of different levels I watch on the SPY, obviously. And I'll get rid of this trend line that we had on Friday. So we have the SPY, right? This is the low on the 20th. You can see that we are below that, right? We're well below that at 2,820 roughly. Right now, this is delayed data over here, so that's not 100% accurate. So if we look back at in comparison, we were right here. There's actually a trend line here that we bounced off of on the SPY before. And I'm going to make it lighter So we can see that was one that we had as highs. I'm going to look at it on the daily chart here. Highs back all the way back here. We have, let's see, we've got, oh, it's this one that I was thinking of. The highs from June and September, right? Right there. And then we have this one, which is the highs from back here. And it was the lows, it acted as the valleys, as support for a while before we had the pullback in 2016, and then we bounced above it and it acted as support again. So looking at that, we tested that once, right? We tested it back here, and now we are below that, right? So this is the next one down that I'm looking at for potential test. 277.29 area, right? So we're going back over here, looking into potentially 277 area. So that's a pretty big drop again going forward in the week. That scientist, you know, if you ever have any questions, Raylon, if you ever have any questions, or anybody else out there, if you have questions, just put them in the chat box and I'll try to answer them. So right now we're pretty much below certain levels. If we go back to our weekly chart, right, we'll pull it back out. You can see we tested here, bounced up, hit the 50 simple, the 50 simple moving average, pulled back down to the 200 on the weekly chart down here, right? That was the low back in 2018, just before they had the massive buying. Yes, we've had massive volume in the last 2 weeks. And you guys know I do follow the dark pool with Stephanie Cameraman in the Java pit to help her in the training pit as well. And right now we've seen a fair amount of dark pool activity. So there could be a bigger move back down. If we come all the way back down here, that's a pretty big move down to 263, right? 277 for this one potentially, then maybe down to 263. If we were to go even further down, right, we have this trend line down here. I like to hide them when I don't really need them, and then I'm not really looking at them. We might come all the way back down to 229. That's my far, far target. So we shall see, right? Because the coronavirus is here, but it's really the big guys that manipulate the market. And so they have placed their positions, and right now we are below their positions, right? So I've got the t-shirt on, bullish above, bearish below, no thinking, right? So we're below them. So right now the market is feeling quite sell heavy. Just like when you have a short squeeze with Tesla, when you have the shorts getting squeezed up, they're buying, and you have more momentum traders, they're buying as well. Well, on the way down, you have fear and panic, and then you have stops that are getting executed. As well as people have margin requirements too, that if they're long and then they're going into big debt, then they have to meet those margin requirements. They have to close out the end of day. So keeping all of that in mind, when we have the staircase up, right? And then we have the elevator down. So that can be pretty big. Let me go over here. I don't have our Sunday list up here. I'll get rid of all these from last week. It was a crazy weekend. Been very busy. Thankfully, my father-in-law is doing well, and he should be coming home this week. Just busy with going down to the hospital. I'll put this over here really quickly. And WMT, Costco, 3M, FTSE, DGX, Apple, NAV, American Airlines, TECD, and MRO, right? We'll look at the longer term swings there too. And we'll look at QQQ. So same scenario. We came, this is the high that we had. We tested that before. If we put it side by side next to NQ, the futures, oops, I didn't select the futures there. The current contract, you can see, I'll put it 45 minutes by 45 minutes, compare apples to apples, right? So we are below that low from the 20th. So right now, we're going to be breaking down below 206. and you might be coming back down here, 194 area. There's also this, you can't see it really, there's another line down here, 191. So potential areas to watch on the NASDAQ on the way down, right? We had come down, we had a dead cat bounce, bit more selling into this bounce right here of the shorts, and then it's coming back down. So right now, if we do go ahead and we open below this area, it looks like we're setting up, we were talking about it in the Java pit, setting up for the dreaded H, right? Continuation move to the downside potential there. And if we wake up early, you know, there was massive volume in buying. And we go to the daily there, and we also go to the daily on the SPY. You guys probably remember we had massive volume coming in when we had this bounce, right? Well, we had that same massive volume on NASDAQ, right? So if we drop below that, one of two things could happen. These big guys might come in and they might buy even more, or they might say, nope, the market isn't ready yet, we're going to dump our positions, right? Many computers will be set up to buy there past volume weighted average price as well, to buy off of longer term, but we might see it go down further. Look, this might come down to 188 here. We already tested that level over here of 292, and now we're below. We might come down even further, right? So could get really ugly before it gets better, but we just trade the market, right? That's the beauty of the market, is we're going to go ahead and trade the levels accordingly. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this up over here. So we've got it right here. If you guys ever see me do my watch list, I also look at short volume. So with Walmart, let's see, our short volume was 61%. I do have a good video about short volume, and you can definitely check that out, versus short interest. Those two are different. Basically, short interest is reported 2 weeks later, whereas short volume is the information from the day prior, right? Oh, look at that. Let's see. I want to come over. I want to see the chart over here. Got another Mercury. Alright, 2 seconds, guys. Little computer issue here. Let's see if I can make it smaller. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Alright. 3M. It's really small now, but I'll go ahead and I'll post it up later. Easier for me to have it up over here, and I can have more of this over here. Alright. FTSB. 44%. And DGX. Let's just check that out really quickly. 59%. Alright, and I'll put the floats in later. Let's make it a little bit bigger now. Perfect. Alright, beautiful. So let's go ahead and look at Walmart. Why Walmart? Walmart has been setting up and doing really well. We bounced, had earnings. A lot of people are stocking up on supplies. Sales are going up at the moment for Walmart, right? So looking at that, keeping that in mind, we have big volume spike came down, bullish doji right here, filled the gap to the upside. We are testing these moving averages and everything is sort of curling over. However, we might see a bit more to the upside before it drops, based on the fact that everybody's going out and stocking up and getting prepared. That's why Costco and Walmart are on the list. So let's go ahead and put them. You can see it spiked up end of day. Alright, let's stretch it out, auto here. Alright, so I can go ahead and put my support right here. It was resistance back there, 115, and the top of this spike up, 118. Alright, and 118 for Walmart. When we look back at it on the year as well, you can see that's going to be just above those moving averages. If we're able to go ahead and break above it, and you can see the volume's been going up as the price has been going up. Then I would say potentially up to 120. You can see that we had a nice area of consolidation right here on the chart, really to like right there. You see how it just bounced in between here, a big up day, and then bounced before, up again, and then it couldn't hold it. So if it breaks 120.70 area, we might be headed back up to that 125 area. All right, Costco. Oh, ES was halted? No way. Sweetie bee. Really? Let's go to investing.com. U.S. stock futures tumble 4%. Major indices. No, I don't want that. Let's go to major indices futures. No, it's not halted. Really? No. No. Still moving. Just getting pretty nasty. Right here. Alright, so let's go back to Costco. So Costco, again, bullish. You can see that I have this downward trend line here. It tested it, buying volume came in, and then it ripped up higher, right? So we're going to go ahead and put these right here within the daily range. And if it goes ahead and it can break out, actually that's pretty awesome right there. We want to have it go ahead and break above this former support, turned into resistance, and same thing right here. Oh, we're already above that. Right here. I want that as support. Sorry guys, really long day. If I was about to sit down at my trading desk right now, I would not trade. It's been a long, long day. Okay, so 307.50 area, you can see it was support, buying, 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 came back down, tested buying, then it failed, acted as a bit as resistance, failed, and then again, shot right through it, came up and tested moving averages. If you guys want to know all about these moving averages and everything, come check us out in the Trading Pit. We help people learn how to trade from the beginning, or reset your trading around the dark pool. So you can see, again, it's so cool when this happens, that the former resistance right here, you can see it bigger on the time frame. And look at that. I drew it back there, and look at how many times it acted as resistance, and now it could be potential support. Okay, 3M. 3M for the masks, right? This is a coronavirus potential trade. They are the ones doing lots of production of the masks. So I want to see it break 154.35 and go ahead. We want support. I want the bottom of this V, like right here, to go ahead and hold 150.50. And 154.35. All right. Back on the yearly, you can see it did come down. However, ever since Corona has been happening, we've had this consolidation zone, right? Again, this is going to be an area where there's either a lot of bigger companies are getting into it, they're just trading it between this zone, right? So overall, big picture, yes, we break above this 154.35. Look at how many days it was within this range, right? Every day that it sort of consolidates within that range, the strength happens. You can see back here as well that we had this range right here, right? Then when it dropped below, again, this range right here. So looking for it to come up, we might test 156.87. Then if it were to break up above 162, then we would probably come up and test this large area of congestion right up here. All right, FTSV. So I don't know if they were, it's not a buyout. Let's see, remove this. remove this. I should have removed all drawing tools. Alright, so the past couple days, it's been range bound up here, up at the top. So this one is a lower float as well, so I know be cautious on that. 94 or above 94.52, right? 94.09 and 94.52. Alright, DGX. So Quest Diagnostics, with everything going on with all of the testing, right? This has had a large move to it. You know, these lab facility centers are going to be getting a lot of testing coming in with the coronavirus. So it could really increase their numbers for the quarter, because they are going to be going ahead and doing massive testing, right? So looks like it could have been a potential head, shoulders, head, but we might have it came all the way down to 109, came up to 120 again after hours, and then closed end of after hours market 117. So again, I would look for this former resistance to hold as support of 112.50 and 120. We'll put 121 right there, that nice round number. All right, getting into it, Apple. You know, when the market is moving, it's super bullish or super bearish. I do like to watch Apple because I want to see it go ahead and make a move, right? It was sort of consolidating here on Friday. Consolidating, yes, no, right? We had a range right here to right here. So I would really like to see it break above or break below. And I don't know where my bullish line right here. So I'm going to put it right here. You know, we would want to see it above 289.96 or below 281. Alright, so we go back to our yearly chart right here. I had a paper trade on it. Messing around up here. Oh, I'm still short 25 shares. I covered part of my paper trade on it. I was messing around and teaching people how to do paper trading. Gotta love that paper trade on DGAS too. Alright, so looking at it, right, everything's starting to curl down. If we go ahead, we could potentially come down to 273 here. If we go like with NASDAQ dropping big time, excuse me, the NQ, the NASDAQ futures down below here, ouch, we might already be down to 250 when we open up. That would be a massive drop for Apple. But it is possible, right? Anything is possible in the market. And I did warn my brother. I said, I'm seeing signs we might be going down pretty far. So pay attention to it. But we'll see. I think it's 2.37 billion for Apple. All right. No, I'm not there yet, Jay. It's coming up. So next potential shorts, and Jay knows you got to be nimble and be able to trade both sides. But right now this does have a gap to the downside, and that is why this one is on my list for potential short. I'm going to go ahead and put a resistance line right here. Former support, I want to see that hold as resistance, and down below, I want to see it break down below 32.75. So when we pull it back on that, you can see when we pull it back out, we have this gap. It tested, see how that was a form of resistance? If that breaks down, we could go to 31.70 right here to these averages, or we might even fill all the way down to 30.21 if it breaks down from there. And depending on how the market is, there might not be an opportunity to get into it. It might already go ahead and gap down. But this is going to be farming machinery. If we start to get a backlog of food because people are not able, the supply chain goes down, just like with NAV. You know, if the supply chains start to pile up surplus of food because they don't want to have people delivering, they don't want to have trucks moving the virus around, that could cause a big meltdown of everything. So anyways, that's why I have that one on here. Apple is up next. Oh, cool. Thanks, Jay. Jay is one of the other teachers in the training pit. You got to give him a shout out. He specializes in helping people with their setting their charts up, getting them set up, brand new traders, everything like that. So I got to give him a shout out. All right, so Apple. I'm going to put two different levels of support, right? Because the initial support we want to see, or I want to see break, is this 1580, right? And then secondarily, next target down, 1497. We had this massive run up here, but you know, it seems like it might have come up, they tested the averages, pulled back down, they might have sold into it a bit more. And so I'm going to go put a initial support to be broken, it's not 158, 1582, and then 1635 for the tighter range. More than likely with the Boeing 737 MAX grounded. Bad news. Coronavirus. People don't necessarily want to travel. And their system going down this weekend. And some people having over 2-hour wait on the customer service. Like, that's just, it's not instilling confidence in the population to travel on the airline. All right. So when we look back, we'll look back 5 years, it's all-time low. When we look back, I did have further targets here before I'd set this up. You can see, let me stretch it a bit. So I did it in the presentation. So we're below the 1890, we're below the 1689, 1596, right where we closed, right? So that was a former support or resistance, now acting as support. Next level down, 1524, we did break that, went to 1480. Then 1423 below that right here, this area. And then below that we might go down and see 1366. If we go down below 1366, might come on down to 1231. After that, could get ugly, 1055, 1025 area. So might get interesting this week. We shall see. All right, next potential short with the momentum and where we're going at the moment. Like I said, the market's going to take it one way or the other, so be ready and be nimble, right? We want to see that's support hold, resistance right here. All right, so tech data, earnings, right? It came up and it's been holding up here. It almost looks like it was a buyout, but then we came and we had this move down and it hit this moving average, right? So look at this gap down to the downside, $131. So that might have a $9 move to the downside right here, down to this moving average as well. So if you guys want to learn about all the moving averages and why we trust them, come check us out in the training pits or the Java pits. It's an awesome group of people, very positive and very supportive. So let's see, last one, Marathon Oil. Ouch! So with SARS, oil dropped. Let's go and look at CL. All right, let's see how it's doing in relation to CL or the oil futures, right? I heard that this dropped 22% already. Yeah, 21%. Now, is there going to be buying coming into it? That's pretty nasty. When SARS happened, the price of oil dropped 30%, and now there's Russia and OPEC working together against the U.S. shale community trying to drop the price of oil. Well, guess what? They did it. So now, is there going to be buying power coming into the oil arena? Right here, you can see when we go back to the 5-year chart, maybe 2884. Let's see, I'll set an alert for crossing down. If it goes below that, it could get really, really ugly, right? And it might get worse before it gets better, especially if airlines get grounded. First, China stopped their airplanes. A lot of jet fuel went into surplus then. Then you've got now flights to Italy. You've got flights to Korea. You know, how much more extensive is this going to be? And so checking that out, you can see we've had this massive drop. It is far away. So people might start buying into it and might have a little bounce up before it goes down, or it could just have a nasty day and then we could have a continuation down. So we will see. Let's see. With MRO over here, I know, Jay, I just got your message. I know you're watching live. I saw your chat. Okay, so MRO right here. I'm not going to put it super tight right here. I would rather put it up here at 709. And it also happens to be the 50 simple moving average right there on a 15-minute chart. And 678. And let's go back. Our yearly chart, we know we're at the lows. How about 5 years? Look at that. That is the 5-year low. Let's look at all time for marathon oil. Ooh. All right. Seems like it, every time it goes below here, it tends to, let's see, so lows below this, $6, which acted as resistance in the past. Let's go ahead and put it over here, 678 and 709, right? So really the low, so if we go to below 6, potentially 540, and then below that, $5, below $5, that looks like it's the all-time low. If we go below that, then I would not necessarily want to be a marathon oil holder at that point in time. I mean, look at this. It went from $42. Oh, sorry, that's September 2014. Let's go to the yearly chart. Oh, that's crazy. But still, $18.95, and now you're almost back down at $5, like it's at 25%. Hey, it's a bargain now if oil prices start to go back up, but ouch, that's painful to hold on to. All right, so potential swings, right? I've got them over here. Gold. So this was on my list on Friday as a potential squeeze. Like I said, that short volume is something I do watch. Gold has 41% short volume, but when we look back at it, you can see that it's kind of fairly, it's not that high. We'll go look at the indexes too, and I'll show you guys the short volume there, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. This is the type of stuff that you see. Okay, so people are being bullish on it, but still 5 million short, right? So people, like with Tesla, try to peg the top. It can be very painful. So it could end up having a squeeze, you know, every time that, oh, this is not Barrett Gold, sorry. I want Barrett Gold. Why didn't it give me Barrett Gold? I don't want to look at, is it going to give me Barrett Gold? I might have to go to, no, it's not giving me Barrett Gold, it's giving me the gold index. Alright, well, I have it, I'll have to give you guys that, I'll post it somewhere else. But let's look at the SPY, right? So I'm talking about the short volume, this is the volume daily, so 69% short volume on Friday. When we look at it, look at this, the past 5 days, it's been 65% short. 60%, 61% short over the past 10 days, 60% short over the last 20 trading days, right? So that means people started really putting their short positions on back here, and they kept, some were adding, and it's just been shorting, and it looks like we've got a nice H pattern here. Seeing that a lot. The one with the worst, look at this, short volume for IWM. Okay, not that bad, 69%, right? But look at over the last 5 days, 65% short, 65% short, 65% short. So you can quickly see when we had that bounce up to 312 on the SPY, many people got squeezed in their short positions. They weren't able to be nimble and get out. And it can really hurt you if you're short in that way. Alright, so that's not even the gold I wanted. I wanted gold, Barrett Gold here. Alright, so Barrett Gold, we had this pullback, and then it's starting to set up to go higher. So, looking for that to potentially squeeze up even above 22.52. And I don't recommend trading Nugget, but gold and NEM, which are the two of them are the largest holdings in the underlying instrument for which Nugget is traded. So that's good information there for me. All right, and then CMD, so potential longer term bounce here. Look, we had earnings and then a big bounce up. So really looking at this to, if it can fill this gap here, we could see a nice $3 move up, right? And it might test up to 60.72. But it's, you know, you've got to be cautious because it's got a fair amount to the downside as well. And potential tree for leasing, lending tree, right? This looks like it came up, came down, looks like it's found an area of consolidation again, right here, where it's just been trading in this zone. So if it can break up above here, we might see a nice move up to the upside. There might be some people that are saying, hey, you know, look, this was below, this was resistance in the past, this area is consolidation for a couple days now, and maybe this is going to launch to the upside, come back up and test this 200 simple moving average. All right. Okay, AK, I just got in. Thank you, Jane. I'm presuming cost MMM, WMT are longs. They are potential longs. AK, I do potential longs or potential shorts. You got to watch both of the levels. If you go back into the video, you will see the explanation. What an evening. Awesome. Yes, Sean, I know. I was trying. But also, when you type in gold, it gives you gold, the CFD, but also gold, the corporation. They should change that ticker. Look at all the different golds, right? Depending on which market you're trading. So, all right. Do you guys have any other questions or anything else you want to look at? Get my opinion on? Sean, did you see Apple? The Apple and American? Tomorrow morning, you guys need to catch me, I believe. Sean, am I on with you guys tomorrow morning? On Trader TV Live? I think I'm on pre-market tomorrow with you guys. I'll check the schedule. It's been a crazy couple weeks. JP Morgan. Okay, let's look at JP Morgan. Okay. Well, let's see. It was on my list on Friday for a potential short, and whoop, it was nasty, right? Looking at it now, let's go to 15-minute chart. It's really far away from the averages, right? Just like with the Bollinger Bands, everything. If we were to turn on the Bollinger Bands, you'll probably see it's outside of the Bollinger Bands right now. Yep. And so if you've ever studied a bell curve, then you know that, like, this is the midline, right? If you have bell curve, the midline is where it usually lies, and that is the 20 simple moving average. Then you have the outliers. That's really the edge right here of the Bollinger Bands. So once it gets outside of the Bollinger Bands, many times it can be like a rubber band. It sort of snaps back in towards that 20, and then it will continue in that direction. So just like it came down here, and then it came back up, and then back down again, it might have a bit move up before it goes back down because we're still outside. You can see how when it came out, yes, it traded outside the Bollinger Bands for 1, 2, 3, 4 days, and then it came back in 1, 2, 3, 4 days. So it could have an immediate move back up, but right now overall the trend is down on JP Morgan. Yes, but there's other people at JP Morgan besides him. CGC, let's check it out, William. Alright, so CGC, you can see last time I had it, it was pretty, I'm going to turn off the Bollinger Bands because I don't really want them on. I put them on there every once in a while. Alright, so CGC, downward trend for sure. Looks like maybe it could come on down here, right? You can see back here, let's look. We had massive high volume here. We're below those major high volume candlesticks, right? So it could come back down and test the low of the year and see if the volume comes in. But with this market right now, and Tilray as well in the same sector, right, hitting all-time lows after earnings miss, it might just be a time to wait on the sector before it finds bottoms. Just like with the rest of the market, there's going to be some amazing buying opportunities, not necessarily there just yet. Once you start to see it set that support area, right, then it might be time to get in. And then, hey, if that breaks, you know what? That's why you have stops, right? You got to protect that capital. I know, the CAD and US, what is it? Let's see. USD CAD. It is dropping in relation to oil. Oil is one of the biggest exports for Canada. So with oil dropping, with the price of oil dropping, that's going to devalue the Canadian dollar, right? So it's dropping big time. Thanks, Sean. All right, let me go back here. Oil. Yeah, Desert Edge. I did cover oil earlier. A lot of that has to do with the coronavirus and SARS. It dropped about 30%, as well as OPEC and Russia are working together to go against the U.S. Shale production. And so probably natural gas, too, is probably dropping as well. And that's why degas is rocking to the moon. Yeah, this is I mean, let's look at this all-time, right? It's almost at all-time lows for natural gas down here at $1. So degas, on the flip side, the inverse ETF, is heading up, right? Came up here, and then it pulled back on the monthly chart. Ah, thank you, William. I appreciate that. Okay, AK, you want to see my opinion on Lucan coffee? Let's check it out. Well, Lucan is like Starbucks in China. So let's go ahead and first thing I see right off the bat, it's like this to me. You see that, AK? I see that we might be setting up for a Head and Shoulders on it. We're below the 50 simple moving average right now. That's this one right here. Did have major buying back here on the 31st of January, right? But it might come back down. It also looks like there's pretty good support right here around 36. Looking at the chart, the way my eyes catch it right here, resistance, 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 support, and then resistance, and then support. So maybe 36 is a good area to watch for potential support if it were to go up from there, but I see more of a pattern. Let's go to a weekly chart. It might be more clear on a weekly chart that we've had. No, it's not really. But with China still being at not full capacity, people aren't necessarily going out as much to go and buy coffee, so it might be a bit of a downturn for it right now, but maybe it'll come back down to the 30 area before it goes back up, in my opinion. Alright, let's look at it, Desert Edge. Let's check out AMD. On the weekly chart, it looks like pretty strong selling right here at 53.43. And then we had it close right here at a former support. It looks like a resistance right now, right? It came down to the 20 simple moving average on the weekly chart. So if that 44, let's see, if that 44.50 holds, yeah, maybe it'll be continuing on up. It did have a lot of volume coming into it back there as well. So that looks like it might have upward. It might be an area of buying as well. Looking at it though, and we didn't have the averages really crossing over just yet, so potentially. Alright, let's look. William, LMT, Lockheed Martin. With many times this one will end up doing really well if we go to war because of their here. So right now on Lockheed Martin, you can see we're sort of in this range, right? If it goes below, we've got the resistance that flipped to be support back here, right? And now it's acting as support. So we've got this range that it's traded, and maybe, you know, if it breaks above the 393 or below 370, you might be seeing it go down to 362 and then maybe back down to 355 area, maybe 356 right here. Yeah. But overall, it's at a support right now. So if that support breaks, it looks like potentially the next support down at 360, which is where it had more buying back on the 28th of February, in my opinion. All right, you guys are killing me. All right, so Procter & Gamble, toilet paper, right? Everybody is out there buying their toilet paper, their tissues, their paper towels. This could be another one that might be good if the market drops. There might, you know, looking to see where people are putting their money, right? So if we look at it on the yearly chart, we'll back it back out again. It's a pretty wide range. Well, not so much, $4, $5 move. If it's able to break out above here, if we can go ahead and break above right up here, the 50 simple moving average right here at 124.03, 124 range, you know, potentially we'll see more of an upside for a test up to 126. If we could really test 126, then hey, we've got all of this volume down here that was potentially buying, right? So it came, you can see how it tested this average down here, and then it shot up, but it went back and it tested the 50 simple moving average, right here, and then it came down and opened down and ran up. So right now I like to look also at the 21 EMA. We are below that. That is 122.08. So right now it's still in that downward trend. Potentially, if it broke that 124, in my opinion, I would look for that test of 126. Because look at how many times did you see selling up here? Selling, 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 selling. A little bit bump up, a little bit bump up, and then selling finally right here. You had that consolidation. I don't know, my brain, ever since I took away the red and the green, I start to see these areas of consolidation. You can see how it traded in that range for a while. Then once it broke it, down it went, right? KMB, yeah, for sure, KMB, especially with diapers. They make a lot of diapers. And look at that, that's a nice one, yeah. And you can see, again, you guys see this, how it's like your eye will just start to see these areas right here. You've got that area that it was trading for how many weeks, right? It came in, they had the 21st, then after earnings, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it bumped up 10, 11, 12. That's when the market was really setting new highs, and then we came down, and then it broke below it, and look at how quickly it dropped, right? And then you have that big buying. So big buying down here, right? It opened, dropped down, and buyers ripped it back up again. And then it closed the gap on the upside, hit the 50 simple moving average, and we are above right now. So that tends to be a good, if you guys have ever read, I got it right here, my friend Mish Snyder, really awesome book, check it out. Above the 50 simple moving average, when it breaks above, could be a good longer term investment in her book. So I recommend reading that book. It's an awesome book. And it just had dividends, which is probably why it dropped down here. But you had, you know, 4 upward trend days, dividend correction, and then another upward. So that's going to have some good movement to it for sure. Pfizer potentially with drugs, but right now it's not looking good. It's looking bearish to me, right? Right off the bat, you look at it, it's dropping below the averages, came up, tested that 20, and now on the downward trend. right? It's at almost a double bottom right here, but the way the setup looks, just because it acted as support in the past, let's go back to a 5-year and see, right? If we break below that, it could come back down 31 and then back down to 29. Not convinced with Pfizer for going into it as a longer term, long trade, in my opinion. All right. Guild over PFE. Well, Guild, they're talking about their coronavirus drug, but you better keep in mind that phase 1 of coronavirus vaccines are likely going to be a 2-month process, they said, by NIH, and that's just for the phase 1. It's not for the actual overall vaccine approval. So, you know, getting into something saying, hey, we've got the coronavirus vaccine, it's more of a momentum trade, hot trade just at the moment. Not necessarily a transfer of wealth trade, but more of a momentum swing trade. Got it? Oh yeah, you know what, AK, not touching those. The pharmaceutical ones, with as quickly as they go up, they can drop really quickly. They can make people's lives in a couple of minutes, and they can also devastate them. So not the best ones for me, you know, going into them. Some people love them, however, it's only better, in my opinion, for experienced traders, not newbie traders, because they can really get burned really quickly. So I try not to really recommend them or go into them myself. MRU, I don't know MRU. Metro. Oh, that's the Metro here in Canada. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Also, I see this right off the bat, right? Like a bit of a trend line. And it's broken that trend line, right? It came up and tested above it and then came back down. And it's above the 50 simple moving average and moving to the upside. Earnings is coming up, though, the 15th of April. I'd actually adjust this better now. You can see it tested, sold off, came up above it, down, sold again, came to the 200 simple moving average, and now all the averages are starting to curl up, right? You've got this is starting to curl up. And the 200 never really curled down, but it bounced off of it and came back up. Facebook, Mitchell. I'm curious, where are you guys all tuning in from? I like to hear that. Alright, so Facebook, looking ugly. Let's get rid of all these. I could have done it another way, but that's okay. Alright, so Facebook, looking at it for resistance right up there at 181, and then support down at 176. You can see, look at that support back here, resistance flipped to be support, again support, dropped below it, back up, and then came back down, tested it as support and bounce, and this was a bit of support in the past and now acted as resistance, right? So if it drops down below, might go down to 172.88 down here, right? 173.63 maybe, 171. It is a bit far away though, but look, we've got that. We love to talk about the H, right? Boom, down, up, and then down below. Not the best bullish, more bearish. Oh, you're in Sicily. Apparently don't go to the north, William. Stay away from the Lombardo region. X was doing really well when the wall was being talked about, and now it just slowly looks like it's slowly on a downward trend. It doesn't look like it's had consolidation, right? So if we look at it on the weekly as well, you can see more easily, okay, we're down. If we go down here, if we look back in the past, if I just completely ignore to the right, and I'm looking back here, I would look, say, hey, I want to see that support hold, right? And if the resistance of 873 is broken, then hey, maybe it's going to have that upward swing like it did back here from 2016. But for now, I wouldn't necessarily want to see it go below 609. Yes, is it support? Let's check it out. Well, this is delayed too, right? I look at it, but yeah, this is delayed. It could get really nasty. If we go down to 2640, that's the 200 on the weekly, which we tested back here, back in December of 2018. So that is the weekly chart. Let's look at it here. Yeah, it's delayed. Oh, let's go to over here. See how delayed this one is. I'll refresh. It's fun to do it without live price action. It's taking a minute. Yes, for sure. That's where we bounced in 2018. So if we test that and we implode, it might be a 2008 scenario, which would not surprise me with all of the credit that's being extended. The companies are, the companies have a lot of debt as well, that maybe it could really hurt the US market. In my personal opinion, I feel like they have done too much and cut the rates too quickly for the market to be stimulated, that maybe they should have done it a little bit more slowly. So this is really delayed too. Yeah. So Mitchell, you know what? I'm just gonna take it and see where the market opens it, and then just follow it. Likely we'll take some profits on the swings, and then wait to see after the chaos, and then get into some seeing where they are in the trend for the day. No, William, that is 100% free. This site, Short Volumes, is 100% free. Yeah, there's two. There's shortvolume.com and shortvolumes.com. But I like shortvolumes.com because you get more than just one. Whereas Short Volume, you don't get that chart down below unless they change the layout. Yeah, it's just, you can see it and it's just on a chart and you have to read it. Hey, the short interest ratio is right here. But if you hit Short Volumes with the S, it's set up right here. You can go and you can say, all right, Apple for Friday was 47%. You come down, all right, here's the volume for the day. The green was buying, the red is short. And then, hey, you come on down, there's this stock chart, and then the daily volume for the past 10 days, and then they have it averaged out for 5, 10, 20, and 50. NPI and FTS, let's check them out. NPI, don't know it, Northland Power. I don't really trade any of the Canadian exchanges. The power sector overall is getting pretty hit. So right now I wouldn't look at it. It did bounce off of the 50, just like the rest of the market. But looking at it, it's holding the 20 simple moving average. So potential there. I don't know anything about it though, but looking at it, I would wait for it potentially to get above 32. Right? See it break up above here and hold to continue on up, and then have it break 32.78. And FTS. Alright, FTS, similar looking chart. It looks like it has a double top here, right off the bat, 44.25, right? It couldn't hold above here, right? 1, 2, 3 days selling, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days that it could not break above that. So we would really look for it to break above there, and then obviously to hold the 200 simple moving average down here as well, and hold the 50. But this one, it's been holding the 50, and big volume came into it. So look for it to break that 43.90 in my opinion, and then the next test 44.26 to the upside. Alright guys, I've had a long day, so I'm going to wrap it up for today. Carpe profit, seize those profits one trade at a time. Have a great week ahead. Be prepared to trade the market either way, whichever way they take it, and just make sure that you are locking those profits. You will never go broke locking profits, right? Alright, have a great week ahead. Bye guys.